I know.
Phoebe's waiting. Miss Phoebe starts, right? Start? Okay. Good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the Policy Committee of the whole of the Board of Directors of the School District of the City of Allentown for today, January 11, 2024. Prior to tonight's meeting, a informational executive session was held to discuss the purpose of the executive session was to engage in informational updates presented to the board on the transportation RFP, information regarding school district reconfiguration, information on an equity audit and review of the special education due process matter, personnel issues including a review of the cafeteria manager's composition plan, various personnel issues, review of student safety issues including the drafted Allentown Police Department memorandum of understanding with the district, and a consultation with the district solicitors regarding the legal status of the Allentown Public Library. The board welcomes and invites public comment. You may address the board on agenda and non-agenda items. The first opportunity for a comment is at the beginning of the meeting and limited to agenda items only. Comments cards must be received by the start of the meeting, which is now. We will not be receiving public cards once the meeting begins. A copy of the public comment policy is located on the table next to the comment cards. Per our board policy, any person may address the board in accordance with the procedures and limitations of this policy, either on issues presented in resolution being considered or on other matters affecting the administration, management, or operation of the district. Remarks of a personnel nature directed against any individual will be ruled out of order. If you choose to address the board, please fill out a comment card, and hand it to the board secretary, Mr. Simonson. Comments cards are, okay, I already said that. Superintendent remarks. Do we have any comment cards? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Phoebe. We are so excited this evening, and so before I get into my formal remarks, I just want to say this is amazing. Look at all of our families, our parents, our grandparents, our aunts, our uncles, abuela, abuelo, and all of our sensational students. We should be clapping. We want to thank you for your patience tonight, and I'm going to have the students come on, and then I'll have my formal remarks. So tonight, without further ado, we have Mr. Shada, who's the principal of Sheridan. He is one of Allentown's own, so let's give him a round of applause.
Yes, Allentown grown!
We also have Mr. Buselitz, also known as Mr. B, who is our teacher, our music teacher, and they are here, and Mr. Zechner, who is also the assistant principal of Sheridan. We can give him a round of applause. And now let's give an amazing round of applause for the Sheridan Ensemble. Let's go for Sheridan! Woo!
So thank you, Dr. Burks, board members, administrators, families. Thank you for coming. We have two lovely young ladies that will perform tonight. They are wonderful representatives of the spirit of Sheridan School. I went to Sheridan School back in 1974. Went to Harrison Morton and Hira, go Huskies. And I will say, I never played my instrument back then as well as these two young ladies do. So we're gonna start. You don't want to hear me, you want to hear them. First, Litzy is going to play a song called Deck the Halls on her clarinet, and this song was given to her to practice the lower register. So you're going to see not only her left top hand, but her bottom right hand on the keys at the bottom as well. Litzy.
Can you speak in the mic, because they
In the
can't
mic?
hear
Yes,
you? Yes.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Next, thank you, Litzy. Next, Lena is going to play a song called Parallel W's. You're going to hear her changing strings, and she's got lots of quick eighth notes. Watch that arm bow back and forth.
Oh, we could do better than that. Woo! Let's give another round of applause for Sheridan. Woo! Are the families here of our Jules, are the families here? Mom, dad, family members? Thank you so much. Yeah, I did a picture of Melissa. 1 second. We want to get a photo with the family real quick. You want to join? Our investment in our young people, very young, yes. And I want to thank the board, because when we came to the board and said we want to spend $1.2 million in our musical program, they said, yes, just do it. So I want to thank the board and see the evidence of what your investment. So thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. I wish I could play like that. But like Dr. Burks just talk. Now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Before they come in, we have to do a little chant, okay? Are we ready? Okay. Go Central, go Central, go Central, go Central, go Central, go Central,
Go Central! Go Central! Go Central! Go Central! Go Central!
Let's give it up for Central, the cheer team! Direction of Principal Bodner. And I want to thank Miss Stephanie Gresnick and Miss Stacy Gilmartin for taking on. I saw Miss Gilmartin earlier in the year, and she said, Dr. Burks, we have 90 students who are part of the cheer team this year. I was like, 90? Woo! And I'd also like to commend our friends from Community Action, our partners, for their generous donation of these beautiful uniforms. So let's give them up. And we want to thank 610 Vinyl for designing the t-shirts. Woo! Miss Gilmartin said she designed them. Miss Gilmartin said she did.
Mrs. Bond.
Miss Ryder, that's what.
Graphic design.
So let's give it up for Central!
Good.
Represent Central.
All right, y'all.
Ready? Here we go, Central. Color shout. Ready?
That's exactly what I
Raise
said.
your hand, show yourself. All right, our fifth graders are gonna lead Spirit. Spirit, ready? S. All right, we're gonna introduce Dynamite. Dynamite, ready?
Give it up for Central! SP, come on, let's go. SP, IR, IT, so we have spirit, spirit, ST, spirit. Let's hear it. Let's. I want to thank all the families who are here tonight. All moms, dads, aunts, uncles, cousins, abuela, abuelo. We thank you. We thank you for allowing us to serve you and your children. We are so excited. I think this was my best meeting ever. It was a lot of fun. Let's give it up. Let's give it up for Sheridan. Oh, that was a lot of fun. And we are because of you, and we thank you so much. Yes,
Thank you so much, parents.
thank you.
I want to come in like that
I
every
know,
week.
I know. I'm gonna take them on the road with me. All my events that we have, we need Central performing.
Yeah.
And all the brothers and sisters that are here supporting. Brothers and sisters.
Cousin.
Yes, and
aunt,
cousins,
uncle.
everyone, thank you.
Oh,
So my presentation isn't as much fun.
oh, we now got
Yeah.
a meeting.
Yes.
I enjoyed it.
So I thank you.
Myself, yes.
Thank you.
You know what the best part was, Dr. Burks?
What?
They were all wonderful, But the little ones in front who discovered themselves on the screen. They didn't want to leave. They said, this is where I want to be. But thank you so much, the families, and thank you, Dr. Burks, because I will say this is something that I've, as one board member, many board members asked for a long time. And I tell you, when the kids feel good about themselves and express themselves, this is when you don't get those negative behaviors. You get learning.
Yeah.
You know, this is what I'm talking about when I say, and people have heard me say over and over, what goes in is what comes out. And clearly you can see, no matter what the negative things we hear on the news, you can clearly see that our kids want to be here.
Amen.
And this is the time when the media should be here. They should be capturing this. This is a
Yes.
good.
Exactly.
Instead of when it bleeds, it leads.
Yes. That was amazing. I'm so full right now.
I'm energized. Pumped.
I know, but I know this is about. So additionally, on our agenda tonight, I just want to make sure, as I said to the school board of directors, as well as to the public and the entire community, that we were going to be very transparent about our strategic planning process. And so we are capturing every experience with the steering committee. We have captured things with via video and photos. So everyone listening, if you could please go to our social media channels and like what's happening in Allentown. Like, share what's happening. Some wonderful things are happening in Allentown. And let me tell you, we are getting recognition statewide and nationally for the work that we're doing. So we should be proud to be a part of this learning community. But we need each other to promote what we're doing, the positive things that we're doing. We're going to just take about 3 minutes just to share, what has happened as it relates to the steering committee via video, just really quickly in our flip book. So each session, we will capture the highlights of what is happening. So this is our newsletter. So if you see, we highlight who's a part of who are the tri-chairs. We share who was a part of the steering committee, some of the highlights of what's happening. So there are many, you can see this. We sent it out to all of our partners as well as our extensive community and our next steps. So if you please continue to share the flip book, our students will see what's happening in their classrooms as well as throughout the district. So each month we will have a newsletter, so please look for it. And we also will capture things in video, and please go to our website as well. And at the end, we will have a comprehensive approach. There are opportunities for all of us to engage in this process. So we have advisory groups in which members of our community have volunteered their services, as well as we will have focus groups. We will disseminate a survey next week to capture what we think the graduate should look like when a child is matriculating through our institution, what that child should learn throughout the process. So we will engage each of you in that process. So if you see the survey on social channels or on our website, please share it with our learning communities. We know that peer influence and relationships matter, and we want to capture the collective voices of everyone because we are reimagining our district together. This is our community. And so we want to highlight the positive things that are happening here. So Ms. Barbara is here. If you could share it on with the NAACP and others, what we have here, we would appreciate it. And other of our partners, Ms. Gina's here. So please, Ms. Jeannie. One more, Mr. Jose. We're going to just capture a quick video. And again, I know lots of us love social media. So when you're thinking about all those things you want to say, showcase.
I appreciate all of you for being in the room today because you decided that you are going to stand up a lot taller, a lot higher for the children of Allentown.
Tonight is one of the most representative groups that I've ever worked with. So thank you very much for being here tonight and representing the kids in the community. So I will give you another round of applause. It's a good night for a round of applause. When there is really strong organizational coherence, you can feel that energy and momentum in a community, in a school, in a district. And so we're going to strive to make sure that we do achieve organizational coherence.
I feel like in order to really get down to the nitty-gritty and like solving the issues of student safety, we have to dig deep into the roots, and those roots being mental health.
We're not going to make Spanish language a secondary consideration in the city of Allentown. I don't think that's a fair way of doing this work.
Putting faces to the people that are leading and have a position over my children is vital. I don't know what half of these people would have looked like, whether they were here with their name, their title.
We are so excited about the work we're going to do together to reimagine our district for the benefit of the 16,700 fantastic, sensational, creative, dynamic jewels. And we had some of them in the room. We're creating our own Allentown plan. We're going to create our own Allentown.
I want to thank. So we want to thank everyone who's volunteering on our steering committee, everyone who said they would participate in the advisory groups, focus groups, surveys. Our students will participate, our board. We have a session coming up with our board, so you can give us some feedback throughout the entire process. So I just want to say thank you. And as I said, our song for this year is Ain't No Stopping Us Now.
All right.
We are on the move. So let's give it up for Allentown. So tonight, back to the business at hand, we, for our policy meeting updates, we want to thank Ms. Harris. And tonight we will begin the process of reviewing and improving the Allentown School District policies as it relate to the ESSERS audit. So as in response to the ESSERS audit, we volunteered to participate in state monitoring because we want to make sure that we were following all the procedures and processes. And so they came back and gave us some recommendations as to how we shore up our practices. Tonight we're going to look at our nepotism policy for the first reading, our GSB Statement 34, a federal fiscal compliance, travel reimbursement for federal programs, and fraud. So these various policies, first reading for these policies. Ms. Phoebe.
All righty. So I already asked if there were any comment cards, and there isn't any. We have 5 policies to present this evening. The first policy is a new policy. Mr. Sang will introduce our first reading of the policy 304.1 nepotism. Mr. Cuff will present the remaining 5 policies. These policies are presented in December for the first reading. They are coming before the policy committee again. I would like to suggest that we all take all these policies together, if that's okay with the board. Okay. Mr. Sang?
Good evening, board. This is the first reading for our nepotism policy, which is new. I'm not going to go through it verbatim, but I will give you a high-level overview. Starting with the purpose, the district's committed to hiring the best qualified persons available for employment positions and to ensuring that employment-related decisions are made based upon an applicant's or employee's individual merit. Fulfilling this commitment requires that the district maintain an atmosphere free of nepotism. Nepotism, or the appearance of nepotism, can degrade staff morale, arouse public mistrust, and be an obstacle to teamwork, effectiveness, and quality performance. You have the authority section there, as well as the next almost full page of definitions that relate to the policy. On page 2, toward the bottom, you have guidelines. So also just give you the general prohibition and reporting. In the context of supervisory functions and personnel actions, district personnel shall not request or show favoritism for or request to give other special consideration or treatment to an employee or applicant for employment based in whole or part upon that employee's or applicant's family relationship to any district employee or board member. District personnel shall not permit the fact that an employee or applicant is a family member of a district employee, board member, or management team member to influence supervisory functions or personnel actions. School district personnel shall not trade favors involving such prohibited favoritism or special consideration or treatment with respect to family members of other employees, and shall not influence or attempt to influence supervisory functions or personnel actions involving their family members performed by other school district employees. School district personnel shall report to the superintendent any activity that appears to violate this policy. Just as a point of reference, within our application system, we do have a box that requires disclosure by any applicant if they have a relationship as such. We do have policies 404 and 504 that speak to some of these same things you heard in here, but the nepotism policy is a standalone and provides greater depth.
Thank you. Any questions? All right then. Thank you very much. Mr. Cox.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So I'll go over 622 first. I'll give you a synopsis. GASB Statement 34. This policy ensures compliance with state requirements and to properly account for both the financial and economic resources of the district, requires that the district maintain a fixed asset inventory and the depreciation schedules, requires that the business manager or CFO prepare a management discussion analysis on a yearly basis. Okay.
Okay, any questions? Okay, go on to the
Okay,
next
thank
policy.
you. 626.
Mhm.
Pardon. This policy requires the Allentown School District that all federal funds are administered in accordance with federal requirements, requires that the district's financial management system be designed with strong internal controls, a high level of transparency and accountability, and documented procedures to ensure that all financial management standards are met.
Sounds good to me. No other question? The next policy.
Okay, 626, travel.
Mhm.
This policy requires that all district employees comply with established board policies for travel reimbursement. It also ensures that all district travel related to federal government programs are documented, justified, reasonable, and necessary.
Can you give us an example of that? If possible.
For travel,
Yeah. Mhm.
as long as the travel is related to the grant or whatever you're going for, that's what the travel is for. So it's and that you comply with the district standards of not abusing your travel or anything of that nature.
Good enough. Thank you. All right, policy 4. Oh, go ahead. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Ms.
So I
Lisa.
think pretty much what I got, because we all got policies, right?
Mhm.
It has to be, you can't just say, okay, something comes up, and without having some kind of documentation in terms of why you're going, what,
Purpose.
what the purpose was. So, you know, we have to be accountable for we're spending.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And the last one's policy 828 on fraud. This policy requires that all the board members, district employees, volunteers, consultants, vendors, contractors maintain a relationship with the ASD integrity.
Such as?
Okay, integrity, sorry, with due diligence in accordance with the law and their duties involving district resources. The board is entrusted with public funds and no one connected with the district shall do anything to erode that trust. So there's a list of definitions. I'm not, want me to go down them?
No, we don't need to, but just wanted to make sure that we
Okay.
Amen.
those who are at home and here can read that.
Yep. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. One moment. This is an action item. So may I have a motion to move this forward to the January 25th Board of Directors meeting?
Second.
Okay, Ms. Conover and Ms. Brown second. Okay. Is there any discussion?
No.
Seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The motion is carried. All right. Is there any non-agenda item, comment cards?
No.
No, seeing none. Is there any old business? Is there any new business? May I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the next one would be education. No opposes.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the Education Committee of the Whole of the Board of Directors for the School District for the City of Allentown for today, which is January 11, 2024. The board welcomes and invites public comments. You may address the board on agenda and/or non-agenda items. The first opportunity for comments is at the beginning of the meeting and is limited to agenda items only. As you know, comment cards must be received by the start of the meeting, which is now. Will not be receiving public comment cards once the meeting begins. A copy of public comment cards is located on the back table by next to the comment policy is located to the comment cards in the back table. Per the board's policy, any person may address the board in accordance with the procedures and limitations of this policy, either on issues presented in resolutions being considered or on other matters affecting the administration, management, or operations of the district. Remarks of a personal nature directed against any individual will be ruled out of order. If you choose to address the board, please fill out a comment card and hand it to the board secretary, Mr. Simonson. Once recognized, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and kindly limit your remarks to 3 minutes. At this time, Dr. Burks, do you have any comments?
Yes,
Mark?
thank you. Yes, thank you, Ms. Conover. Just want to share with the board and the public that tonight we're going to present a comprehensive overview of our Q1 benchmark assessments, some behavioral data as it relates to discipline and as well, attendance data. It's not an action item, but we've made a commitment to transparency and monitoring. We said that we will present to the board quarterly where we are as it relates to administering assessments for our students. We also are asking the board's consideration for a short-term contract with Imagine Learning, which they provide educational services to our virtual academy. And so we need this to continue on through now into the end of the summer. And we are going to seek requests for proposals for additional educational services beyond the summer. So you'll see an RFP go out in a few months as relates for our virtual programming. Also, the board is reviewing a contract tonight with Devapar Consulting. We are still in need of a director of mathematics, and that is a very difficult position to fill nationally. And so we want to make sure we select people who know mathematics well. And so we have not had the robust candidate pool. So we are enlisting support a Devapar, which is a consulting firm, in which they have retired educators who have been quite successful in the field to support us with our math instructional practices, because we recently purchased curricula. So they're going to help us with the implementation and professional learning for our teachers and our students. And then additional coaching support with one of our members of our staff who's going to serve in an interim role as our interim acting director of literacy. That concludes the overview of my remarks
Thank
as
you
it relates
so-
to education.
Thank you so much, Dr. Burks. At this time, we're only taking public comments on agenda items. We don't have any? Okay, so tonight we have 3 agenda items. The first item is for discussion only. The board will not vote on this item. Tonight we have a data presentation. It'll be done by Mrs. Melissa Smith. She will be the one who will present this item. Also, she will be presenting those other 2 action items. Ms. Smith, if you make.
Good evening, board. Happy New Year. Ms. Polik is passing out one slide that will replace one of the slides that is in your packet. As Dr. Burke said, we are going to be presenting a comprehensive view of our data. What we are going to give you is our beginning of the year data from last year, from September 2022. We're going to, for the academic areas, show you where we ended the year in spring 2023. And then those same kiddos, we're going to show you where they started in fall 2023. So you'll be able to see beginning of the year, end of the year, beginning of the year. For attendance and behavior, you will see comparisons from last year to this year. And then you will also see our next level work. which I basically did the overview because I was so excited to get into the data.
We're excited about that. We're excited.
Just to start with our students, when you're looking at this, we have 77% of our students are economically disadvantaged. 17% of our students are English learners or students with IEPs. We have foster care is about 1%, and our students experiencing homelessness is 2.9. You can see through our demographics of our 16,700 students, a majority of our students are Hispanic, following next by Black and then white. We will start with literacy data. We are highlighting kindergarten, grade 3, grade 7, and grade 10. We are picking those because they align with our comprehensive plan goals, especially for our foundational skills and our reading by grade 3. With kindergarten, we are doing dibbles. And again, on the left, you will see fall 2022. The blue is above benchmark, our green is at benchmark, yellow is below benchmark, and our red is well below benchmark. I'd like you to look to the middle column. Look at how much that red has decreased and the blue and green have increased. We went last year in 2022, we went from 13% of our students proficient at benchmark or above benchmark to 45.5% of our students at or above benchmark. You will see this year, our fall, now these are completely separate groups of students. On the right, you will see that we came in and we're coming in slightly higher this fall than we did last fall.
So my question is, with the last one for grade 3.
Oh, okay, this is all kindergarten, Ms.
Oh,
Phoebe.
okay.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Do you have a question about this one?
Well, I was looking at the fall 2023, but that's okay. No, we'll go.
Okay.
Keep going.
Now we're moving into or into third grade. What you're going to see is fall and end of year as second graders, and then fall as third graders. You can see when we started the year last year, 80% of our students, 81% of our students were performing below basic on their STAR assessment. By the end of the year, we moved that to 59.4, but we also increased it to be 22.6% of our kids were advanced or proficient. Now you take that same group of students and you move them into third grade, and we're now at they started the year higher than they ended last year. They started the year with 23.4% of our students advanced or scoring advanced or proficient. And you can see consistently that red bar, that below basic bar is decreasing.
So what you're saying is what we're doing is working.
We are putting lots of things into place, putting processes into place. And for this grade level, we saw strengths, and what you'll see is it's a different story at some different grade levels. And so, but for this grade level, we invested a lot of money into our early literacy training of letters. This cohort of students would have had teachers that were receiving that professional learning. Some of the resources we bought last year, the interventions we put in place last year, these are students that could have benefited from those programs, yes.
So we're doing professional development, and then we're also making sure that the students are getting the things that they need. We found out what we were doing wrong, and we're correcting the wrongs.
We are
Make it
working,
right.
we are working hard to ensure we're putting processes and expectations into place and resources into place to support our teachers, instructing our teachers.
Wonderful, thank you.
So I wouldn't say wrong.
Yeah.
Okay,
Don't
I'm
use
sorry.
that word.
Okay.
I understand what you're
Delete that
saying.
word wrong.
Delete that.
Thanks, Ms. Conover.
Right, delete it.
I would like to also call attention to, we had of this cohort, 265 students attended our summer programming from this grade level.
Wow.
It's
Was
great
that
news.
Was that the highest one for that grade level?
Miss Phoebe, I will have to get you that information. I looked at the second grade cohort only for this presentation.
And then if I may, as the chair, co-chair, because we have had conversations, right? We also have, just imagine what we could do if we had all of the positions filled. We're doing this with a skeleton crew. So let's give ourselves a hand.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give y'all.
We're moving into middle school now. And what you will see here is from beginning of year, last year as sixth graders to middle of the year, there was a slight decrease of about 5% from below basic, students scoring below basic. At the end of the year, we ended at 24.5% proficient. And this year, advanced or proficient. This year, we're starting at 21.5%. So a little decrease there, but you can also see that the students who scored below basic decreased slightly. Moving on to high school with 10th grade, we're looking at 9th graders last year, 10th graders this year. At the end of the year, we were at 18.9 students scoring advanced or proficient on our benchmark. At the start of this year as 10th graders, we were scoring 20.7% proficient. And you will see from last year as they started high school to this year starting 10th grade, there is a 6% decrease in the students scoring below basic.
Stop right there. When Lisa and I first got on this board, we were sitting down there. We had a CAO telling us how bad our 9th graders were doing. And they were okay with it. Now I got you, Miss Missy, telling us how much better they're doing. Thank you so much. I thank our board for not accepting failure. And I thank our superintendent for leading this ship in the correct direction. Thank you so much. I could cry right now.
Let's see, I have a question about the middle school data. Like, I'm noticing a trend, and it seems to be the transition. And I'm pointing it out because I think on most levels, when you look at school, when they're transitioning from 5th to 6th, or from 7th to 8th grade, there's always something happening there where it's like the ball is being dropped. And I want us to think as a board, what can we do, and a community, to help our students to transition the right way, to make sure that whether it's during the summer, whatever is happening during the summer learning, that we're not just focusing on fun, but we're preparing them to go into 6th grade. We're preparing them to go into 8th grade. So that's something that I'm kind of looking at as I'm looking at the data. The transition seems to be a little tough for our students.
We will definitely take note of that
Yeah.
and continue to work on transitions. And a big transition is from grade 8 into the high school at grade 9.
Right.
So absolutely, as
That's
we're
ninth
working
grade, I'm
on
sorry.
plans.
Well, we are,
Yeah.
actually, I'm just, as reminders, we are.
Yeah.
That's why you constantly hear me talk about things like, skeleton crew and how we need qualified people to be here. You know, we have the vision, we even have, I don't even know where some of us are getting the energy from, right? But we have those things in place. I always said that we were losing our kids. Number one, 3rd grade is that pivotal moment. If they don't get it by 3rd grade, now you gotta fight, right? But then when I said we lose our middle school and our high schoolers. What we need to do is we need to get more people to be engaged, right? We need qualified people. We want good help, not just any old help. We want people who are willing to be a part of the process and not come with their own ideas, creating more problems for us.
Yeah.
So we need to just continue to do what we do, because when it comes to that group, we still have to prove ourselves to them.
Right.
Because we have these resources, but they're not running and knocking us over to actually engage. And so we have to continue to be the ones to do the commercial and to make them want to be, just like these babies came in here, they wanted to be here, right?
Yeah.
And so we have to make it appealing, because over the years, whatever we were doing, obviously it didn't work.
Yeah.
And so we have to undo what we did.
But I don't think it's only that, Ms. Conover. I think it's also, I think about myself when I first got to middle school, how scary it was mentally for me.
That's
Right,
called
so
climate and culture.
Right, climate and culture. So I'm thinking about like the fear that they're going through, the anxiety you're trying to fit in. So all of those things come into play. So what can we do, even whether it's partnering with the community partner for counseling or peer one-on-one with like a big brother, big sister kind of system where like a fifth grader is buddying with a sixth grader before they even get to the school. So they have a partner or somebody to deal with during that time of transition. So I think that's kind of what I'm thinking about. How can we better that piece from like a mental health standpoint?
I just want to say,
Can we let
Um,
Dr. Burks?
I just want to share, if you don't mind,
Go right ahead.
Yeah.
that, I'm thinking that when they're doing that transition in the summer, maybe it could be like, certain programs. We could actually, like you said, nonprofits, but they will have like fun math classes that you will look into. Like right now they have that finance class at South Mountain.
Yeah,
But,
financial
you know,
literacy.
they started in the summer. Now the kids, there's more kids involved in it, you know, that actually caught their interest. So we have to actually come up with like certain programs that will catch their interest, that they will keep on going. So when school starts, you know, they
They'll
don't have
continue.
that fear that you were talking about.
I'm gonna actually ask that we stop using financial literacy,
I thought that is what it's called. I'm
and it
sorry.
shouldn't be called that. It literacy, it has has a negative connotation to it when it comes to financial, because to me, our children can read. However, if we do financial comprehension, that encompasses all of it. They understand what money means, not just literacy. They mean no. So I'm doing a policy. We no longer say financial literacy. We have to say financial comprehension, because that's what it
I thought
really
that was
is.
the name.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Oh,
No,
okay.
but I keep telling people that who also do that program, and
Oh,
I keep
okay.
telling them to please do financial comprehension.
Okay.
Dr. Burks?
I just want to say, just respectfully, the state of Pennsylvania has put out an edict that districts have to have a financial literacy course. So I just want to say that for the record.
Then I will go to the state. Then I will go to the state. I don't got a problem going to the state. I don't got a problem making them change that to financial comprehension. All right, thank you for the new challenge.
So
Are required to offer that course.
Here. But thank you anyway. Thank you, Dr. Burks, for correcting me.
We won't say it in front of you, but we'll see what I'm saying.
Thank you, Missy.
Thank you, Missy. Next.
So now we're moving into math, and our math scores are lower, our students are scoring lower on assessments in math than they are in literacy. What we can tell you is pre-pandemic, we're moving towards where we were pre-pandemic. We're not quite there yet. But we are moving in the direction where we had elementary schools this year on the PSSA increased by 6, 7, 8 percentage points, and moving closer to that where they were pre-pandemic. So we're working on it. So these scores will look a little bit different, but we will still have some conversation. So this is 4th grade math, which is our goal for our comprehensive plan, but we're looking at our 3rd graders. And so you can see that we had 66% of our 3rd graders scoring below basic on the STAR benchmark at the beginning of last year. That decreased to 52% at the end of last year. But this year it has increased back up at the beginning of the year to 61.9%. You will also see, if you look at the end of last year, the students that scored advanced or proficient was at 28%. Starting the year, we're at 19%. In 8th grade math, which again is one of our comprehensive goals, you will see the cohort started in 7th grade and moved to 8th grade. And then you can see that the start of 2023, the student scoring below basic was higher than where they were for both their times as 7th grade, both assessment times in 7th grade. We started the year last year at 10% advanced and proficient. By the end of the year, we moved to 11% advanced and proficient. We're starting the year at 6.4% advanced or proficient.
So is it maybe because we're losing something during the summer?
There could be some summer learning loss, but there also could be foundational skills that we are continuing to build as they're entering high school. We're still building on some of those foundational
And
skills.
it has a lot to, sorry.
Go ahead.
And it has a lot to do, this is why, never forget, right? Kids need consistency. We've had a lot of turnover. And that's why you see me out in the streets. Because we cannot afford to have the turnover. Because every time there's turnover, then the clock starts over. So let's not forget that.
Moving on to algebra and algebra 1 and 2. This year we changed our assessment and we are using the classroom diagnostic tools. And what this helps us do is it will tell us exactly what algebra skills a student is struggling with so that we can provide small group intensive instruction in those areas. What this slide is telling us that of our students that are taking algebra 1, 99.9% of them were struggling with the algebra 1 skills. Now remember, they didn't have any instruction in algebra 1 yet. They were struggling. The different story that is the algebra 2 students. So they took algebra 1 last year, but we still have a large population of students on the assessment showing that they don't have those foundational algebra skills to be successful. And so the assessment is one that it kind of gives you each area and then teachers can target specific algebra skills there.
And this is speaking to what grade?
That is, that's courses at the high school, that would be algebra 1. So you could have 9, 10, 11, or some 12th graders in algebra 1. Algebra 2, you probably have 10, 11, maybe 12th graders in there.
So I'm gonna put a pin in it again.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all think I'm crazy when I say the things that I say.
No, I don't.
This is what I meant by we were housing our students and we weren't educating them. But now we're educating because we done spent some money on curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
We're bringing it, we're being transparent. We're bringing it to the public, to the parents. We can change this,
We will
but we
change this.
cannot go backwards. We got to continue to go forward.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and our families must understand, even with trade schools, even with going into a trade, you have to have algebra 1.
Absolutely.
You
And-
have to have algebra 1. You
and-
have
and-
to pass that test, because I challenged IBEW about that because we didn't have very many children there, but other school districts did. And they said, oh,
They came here and made a presentation. They,
Yeah, but
they-
before-
a
yes,
fellow,
yeah.
right, he came here and he said, I don't mean to cut you off, but
Oh,
we,
go
this
ahead.
is conversation, right?
Hmm?
He said, we want to hire, but most, and I guess he was a little embarrassed to say it, but he said, but the students that come to us, that could come to us, because they didn't come, right? They can't pass
Algebra
the math.
or test. Yes.
And that was in 2017,
Mhm.
2018, around that time. And here we are in 2024
23.
now.
Right.
24, well, we're in 24. So we're gonna do better. So I'm putting a pin in it. We didn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
That was before us. And that's why you always say put a pin in it. Now, what are we gonna do moving forward? And we have to be conscious about what we're doing. And we have to be conscious and have our eyes open, because anybody that gets in our way, they're gonna have problems, because we're gonna educate our students. That's it, that's all.
We're going to go into some English learner data, and this was based on the Lost Links, which is about their language acquisition. So this is not their proficiency on STAR. This is speaking, listening, reading comprehension, and writing. And so some of the trends that we saw from last year to this year in grade K to 2, we have a high percentage of students beginning in the beginner category, and that's between 100% in kindergarten and 39% in first grade. So we have a fluctuation there, but we do have a lot of beginner students that are speaking at that beginning level. Grades 3 and 4 are showing consistent growth in their early intermediate category. Last year, they went from 18% to 30%. And grades 4 and 5 reached 13% and 19% in proficiency in the spring. Grades 6 to 8, 7th grade showed a 10% increase in spring in their language acquisition, and grades 6 to 8 had a significant number of students in the intermediate and early intermediate levels. And then in 9 to 12, there's limited growth and attainment of language proficiency with a majority of students in these grades. They have single-digit results. So again, speaking, listening, writing, and reading is where Lost Links is. And we're putting some plans in place for our English learners to help support them with language acquisition. We're moving on to attendance. And we're going to start with 6th grade, and I apologize that the slide is out of order. What you're going to see here is the average number of days absent. And I'd like you to look at the green, which is this year. And what that is showing us is that our students in 7th grade, 8th grade, there's a decrease. They're coming to school more than they were coming to school last year. We go on to elementary now. That green, that soul green first line, that's because that's pre-K. And that's the first time we had pre-K. So we don't have last year to have a pre-K measure. But what you can consistently see across our elementary schools is the green, our Q1 from this year, they're coming to school more than they were coming to school last year. And high school, 9th grade, could possibly be that transition. There are more kids not attending school than there were last year as far as those average number of days. And the same thing with 10th and 11th grade, but then our seniors are coming to school a little bit more frequently than they did last year. Now, here are some exciting numbers for you. And I knew I did it. I was doing so well with the clicker. I'd like you to look at the middle 2 columns. So in high school, last year, 47% of our students were chronically absent at this time. This year, 45% of our students are chronically absent. Middle school, last year, 34% of our students were chronically absent. This year, 28%. Elementary school, last year, almost 33% of our students were chronically absent. This year, 26% of our students are chronically absent. So some of the things that have been going on to support the decreases that we're seeing in attendance is our attendance meetings at our school levels with the stakeholders. We've reassigned outreach workers to the elementary schools, so there's an intentional focus on attendance. We're refining systems and creating those clear expectations for those meetings. And part of our comprehensive plan was a 3-year attendance goal to reduce chronic absenteeism. And Ms. Pollack, for the past 2 years, moving into student services with Dr. Sanchez this year, they're providing quarterly data to the schools to see where they're at. So we are intentionally looking at our data, and to hear principals talk about the decrease in chronically absent students and the increase in average daily attendance, that's not conversation we heard from our principals a couple of years ago. So the intentionality of that focus that we're having on attendance, we're seeing results.
Wonderful.
I want to commend our school level leaders as well as the families and staff. They've been really working hard. You see some of the celebrations and the energy in the schools. We had our elementary school students go, the ones who did well in attendance, over to Muhlenberg. I think it was for a game. They were just so excited about that. So I want to commend our school leaders for a job well done, and their supervisors. Thank you.
We're moving into our discipline data.
Oh, before you start that.
Oh.
I just want to, I know it's a small part, but I think this is kind of important. Our school lunches changed. Our school lunches are better. That's a Gina. I think that is a small part, but it's an important part because we are 100% free lunch. So it's something we need to always be cognizant of, that because those school lunches changes, now we have more kids coming, not just because of that, but because of that, but not because of that.
Moving on to discipline. We are showing you elementary, middle school, and high school alternative to suspension and out-of-school suspension cumulative days. So the elementary schools, what you can see is if you're looking, green is alternative to suspension and blue is out-of-school suspension. At the elementary level, there's not one of those areas that's more than 14 days for the first quarter. A lot of them, you'll see the ones with either an alternative to suspension or an out-of-school suspension. When we get into the middle school and high school, you'll see your differences. But again, on the left, you will see last year. On the right, you will see this year.
Where's Lehigh Parkway?
If Lehigh Parkway is on here, these are schools that had out-of-school suspensions
all right.
or alternative to suspensions. We'll go back and look, Miss Phoebe,
Thank
but.
you.
Okay, so let's look at middle schools. And let's look at the green, you're going to see that there's a decrease at Harrison Morton in alternative to suspension. You're going to see South Mountain is pretty close to where it was within 20. You'll see Rob has a little bit of increase, but I want you to look at the blue for Rob. Last year, Rob had 196 out-of-school suspensions in the first quarter. This year, Rob has 84 out-of-school suspensions. So now our kids might be increasing in school alternative to suspension, but they're in school still receiving instruction. Trexler had 20 out-of-school suspensions. They this year have 6. So you can see decreases in those out-of-school suspensions. As we move to high school, you're going to see something very similar. You're going to see William Allen last year had 642 out-of-school suspension cumulative days. This year, they're at 320. They decreased their alternative to suspension from 1,110 to 779. When I asked Mr. Derrick about Allen specifically, he said we're focusing more on positive staff interactions with students, and we're putting some interventions in place before we start to do that out-of-school suspensions. On track to graduation. What we are showing you is the blue. These are students that to graduate in the Allentown School District, you need 23.5 credits. The students that are blue, 91%, either already have that 23.5 credits to graduate, or they're enrolled in the courses to get that 23.5 as long as they pass. There are 91 students that are not on track to graduate. And the breakdown for that is we have 56 students that have between 20 and they are either earned or are scheduled for 20 to 23.25 credits. 56 of those 91. We can fix that. We can work with students in the spring to do that. This is the first year we've had this discussion, and Ms. Pollock, Ms. Bryan, and I have already started to drill down to the school level to start to see the number of students and the number of credits, because we can put individual plans in place to help those students graduate on time. So while this number is here, we have work to do, but we know we can do that work. So some big takeaways for you. Our third graders increased reading proficiency by 9.3%. We have out-of-school suspensions as a district. The cumulative days as a district, we reduced by 42%. And those highlights that we talked about at William Allen and Rob, they had the decreases by 50% and 57%. Principal Delgado, when I asked him, he said they're increasing their parent connectedness. They have clear student expectations. They have incentives for students. So schools are working hard to receive those numbers. Attendance, we reduced chronically absent across the board. Middle schools and elementary schools, that was about 6% that we decreased from last year, this time to now. And then we have for on track to graduation, the biggest takeaway is there's 91 students that we are going to really focus on to ensure that they have plans in place. Our next level work. We're going to continue with the professional development related to our instructional practice and our new curriculum materials. Our next two professional development days, January 22nd and March 8th. We're going to continue with training our principals in data-wise implementation. We currently have 9 central office members that are trained. We're going to continue to train our supervisors of instruction to lead instructional rounds. We have our next round scheduled at Rob, at William Allen, at Harrison Morton, at Central, and at Jackson Early Childhood Center. We're going to increase the number of classroom observations with school principals with our executive leadership team members. We're going to have explicit focus on small group instruction, foundational skills, and writing in response to reading. We're going to continue to provide tier 1 interventions at the elementary school level in reading. We have Passport and M-class intervention. We're going to start to develop more intervention processes at the middle school and high school. We're going to monitor and increase the student uses on on-demand tutoring by 10% each month. We have some algebra students that we need to be getting in our on-demand tutoring. We're going to have a proposal for communities of practice model for all staff where they're working on a problem of practice and researching and learning. We're going to have intentional job embedded coaching. We're going to implement plans to address student progress and credit deficiencies at Allen, Dariff, and Building 21. And we are going to continue to update you on our student performance data.
Hanover, may I just ask Ms. Smith to add a clarifying statement? Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Okay. Can you just, for benchmark, just a little context setting on benchmark and what that means, like the benchmark? So, yeah.
I apologize. So we use Star Renaissance as our benchmark assessment. What that benchmark assessment, we do quarterly administer it. So we administer at the beginning of the year. Right before Christmas, we administered our second one. So that's the next data set we'll be sharing with you. In looking at that, there's some exciting data points to share with you. Moving forward, we have one right before PSSAs, and then we have one at the end of the year as well. So that progress, our benchmark assessment is how we monitor our student progress from quarter to quarter through an academic school year.
Thank you. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
I just have a comment. I am so impressed with the direction that we're going in as a district. And Ms. Conover and Missy, thank you guys and Dr. Burks and the entire team for the hard work that you're doing to collect this data because we need to see where we are. And the fact that we're tracking our progress quarterly is so important because if you don't know what's happening throughout the year, you can't fix it by the end of the year. By then, it's too late. So the fact that we're tracking it now, we can see where we are. And we know, okay, we need to make improvements in this area is such a good thing to see. So thank you guys. You guys are doing phenomenal work in this area. I'm happy.
Thank you.
We're all happy.
Yes.
Thank you. Now I have a request from the board. Can Mrs. Smith take these next two items together, the action items? Can she take those
Yes.
together?
Yes.
Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you. The next the next item on the agenda is a short-term contract with Imagine Learning. And that's going to help, but currently have students enrolled in credit recovery. You saw that we have students that need credits that will be in credit recovery. And our contract is lapsing, and we didn't want to do a long-term contract. We wanted to do a short-term contract to get us through the spring and summer, so that when we bring you our next instructional platform for virtual learning, everything is together. Our virtual campus, our credit recovery, our virtual academy for credit recovery is together in that contract. So this is a short-term contract to provide credit recovery and some credit advancement for our students.
Okay, so with the GAIN program, what does that entail?
GAIN program uses, this contract is part of what our GAIN program uses. So they use Imagine Learning for their core content areas. And so this is the contract that helps support GAIN's instruction.
So it's GAIN all virtual? Or do they come into, that William Allen and have classes?
We do have teachers at the GAIN program that are supporting our students. Their program that they're using is an online platform program, but there's more support for GAIN students with teachers there to be able to support struggling students.
Yes, you may.
We are looking very closely at our virtual programming as well as our credit recovery program to see if we are providing a comprehensive educational experience for our students.
Well, because the reason why I ask about GAIN is because when we went last year, was it last year? 2023?
Yes.
Yes, when we went last year, we listened to what the presentation was to the parents and to potential GAIN students. And the teachers couldn't answer the questions. I had to answer all the questions because my son had attended GAIN. So that's why I'm asking, because if you're saying instructional, I'm like, they didn't even answer any of the questions. They had no idea, no clue. I knew the answers.
Okay, well, thank you for that information. Well,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Harris.
And then the next agenda item, can I just keep going?
keep
Ms.
going, yeah.
Butler? The next agenda item is for a consulting contract to support us, especially in the areas of math and literacy, for curriculum support, professional development, providing teachers with professional development, as well as some leadership coaching for our staff as they're coming in to support them in new roles, and as they're as they're working with math and literacy. So this contract for $40,000 provides the curriculum support that we need, the professional development support we need, as well as helping build our capacity in the learning and teaching team.
To that, I say money well spent.
Well, to that, may I have a motion to move these items forward to the regular board meeting schedule?
I make that motion.
So it was Ms. Harris and Ms. Noel Brown. Thank you. Any further discussion?
I'm optimistic about what our students is gonna become with all that they're learning. This is very exciting. Very exciting.
Well, all in favor, please let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing and seeing none, this item moves to our next regular board meeting of January 25th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any old business? Oh, is there any comment cards? No, okay. Is there any old business? Any new business to come before the board? May I have a motion to adjourn?
I can make that motion.
A second.
All in favor, please let it know by saying aye.
Aye.
Not any opposes? All done. Don't think so.
Ready?
Thank you. Yes.
I'd like to call to order the Finance Committee of the whole of the Board of Directors of the School District for the City of Allentown for today, January 11th. We do invite public comment, and you may address the board on agenda or non-agenda items. Madam Superintendent, would you like to make some remarks?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Matheson. Tonight, we're going to provide a high-level overview of where we are as it relates to the budget process. This is for discussion only this evening. We also have a lengthy agenda which highlights contracts to increase the cleanliness of our schools' air quality and agreements to assist us with our staffing needs in the areas of hard-to-fill teaching roles and paraprofessional roles. Thank you, Ms. Matheson.
Mr. Cuff, are you ready to catch us up on the budget?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Bring it up.
So good evening. Tonight, as you know, we are going to provide you a high-level overview. All our decisions as an organization are mission, vision, and mission-centric. So that's why we begin all our presentations with the foundation of how we are funding our district. We will provide you our budget goals for the year, our proposed initiatives. We also share the communications plan and timeline, an overview of the cost drivers that impact our budget, the historical Act 1 index, and future discussions and the next steps in the process. This is for discussion only.
Okay.
If you know our vision, mission, and core values, everything that we do is in service to the 16,695 students in which we serve. You see here are the demographics of our staff. We have 2,569 staff members, so we're growing. This time last year, we concluded the year last year, about 2,199 staff members. So we are hiring, so we're excited. Our team. Our budget goals for this year will include our course goals that we have established in our district's comprehensive plan that is required by the state of Pennsylvania, as well as the recommendations that will come out of our strategic planning process. We were, of course, focused on reading and mathematics, looking to decrease chronic absence rates, increase graduation rates, increase language acquisition for our English learners, aligning our priorities to emerge out of the strategic planning process, as I mentioned, and create multiple pathways to success for our theme-based schools. These are initiatives that I'd like for the board to pay very close attention to. We talked about some of these last year. We're going to continue to expand our related arts for our elementary, middle, and high school students. We are looking very closely at our East Side School construction project. So we will come back to the board once we have some updates there. Planning for the exhaustion of our ESSER funds, September 30th of 2024, all dollars that have been allocated, we have to utilize them, and we will. We are going to continue to implement our curriculum revision cycle. We are going to focus on pre-K and kindergarten transportation. We're looking at a different transportation provider right now, so we can increase more of our students who are taking the school, being transported to school. And again, as I mentioned, theme-based schools and creating multiple pathways, meaning more early college experiences and opportunities, as well as workforce development opportunities for our students. So those are our major initiatives that we would like to address. If you see here, this is our budget timeline. Some of the areas we've already presented to the board. We're here tonight presenting a preview of where we are as it relates to the budget. We are going to also have another session with our school leaders and department heads so that they know where they are as it relates to the budget. Each school is presenting their budget to us, the entire extended cabinet. We're unpacking where they are as it relates to their data, as well as what the needs are based on data for the next year. And so we are also going to, throughout this process, have community forums and engage the community in decision-making, and each school team is required to present to their parent group and get sign off from their parent leader that they shared the budget and engage them in the budget process as well as students. So some interesting things are coming out of the conversations with the students and what they want. So just to give you, like I said, we will share this often. We're going to talk about, okay, we'll get into revenue now.
Sure.
We're building on the strengths of.
Good evening again. So we're going to discuss tax revenue. So just so I'm not sure what the budget experience is of most people here. So your typical school budget revenue is comprised of three components: your local tax revenue, your state revenue, and your federal revenue. So we're going to talk about the tax revenue tonight, and the state revenue as well, and federal. So you'll see right here, this is what I stated. You'll see the majority of our budget comes from the state revenue, state sources, state subsidy. Some of it comes from local. Your local sources are obviously your local taxes, your delinquent taxes, and your taxes on earned income and things like that. Your federal revenue is typically your Title I's, your Title II's, and 3's and 4's. And again, you'll see here, majority of our local revenue, you'll see we comprise roughly about 105 million, give or take, for local. That's real estate taxes. Act 511 are basically the taxes on earned incomes and things of that nature. And the rest of them are interest and other local taxes. So as I stated, the biggest funding we get is from the state. So the largest subsidy we get is the basic ed funding. And you'll hear a lot of talk about that when you hear the legislators speak and a lot of other information. So the two major ones you're going to get are your basic ed funding, and that's basically comprised and is made up of the student enrollment. You have your FICA, which is the reimbursement we get on what we pay out for our employees. Special ed funding is, again, that's what it is. It's primarily based upon your special ed numbers, your enrollment figures. For transportation, even though we pay out money for transportation to a supplier and a vendor, we actually receive a reimbursement on transportation through a real funky calculation. But we're looking to increase that going next year. That's one thing we're working on to maximize our return. And the same thing with the FICA reimbursement, we get a reimbursement on PSERS as well. And because the district has a high market value aid ratio, we get a higher return on our PSERS return than most other districts. So as we talk about our budget, these are the major components, and with most districts, the primary expense that you're going to find are going to be personnel related, which are going to be your salaries and your benefits. So you'll see the other areas here that are driving our expenses are going to be charter school costs and debt payments and other fixed costs associated with special education needs. Okay, the district already passed their resolution not to go over the Act 1 index. And just in case some do not know what the Act 1 index is, it's how the state regulates how high you can raise your taxes. So our index right now is 8.2. The state passes a base index of 5.3. And as I stated before, because our market value aid ratio is high, there's a multiplier that goes in and gives us an adjusted index. So what this means is, and this is not to say that we're looking to do it, but if you were to raise your taxes, you can raise it up to 8.2%. Okay? And this shows you in the past couple of years what the district's ACT index was and what we actually raised millage. And you'll see last year it was a 0% increase. And this year it's a TBD. We just don't have anything there right now. So the far right just basically shows you the Social Security CPI. That just shows you the cost of inflation at that time. That's just a unique comparison. Okay. So as we get forward and we get deeper into the budget process, all these items here, as I stated, 65 to 70% of your budget costs are going to be personnel related. So we'll have more information regarding personnel costs. We're already looking at upgrading transportation. We'll see how that affects the budget. as I stated, we get a lot of money back we get a lot of state money from BEF. We won't actually know what that is exactly until the governor releases his budget February 1st. And then typically by the middle of February, we'll have an idea what each district is receiving for BEF and special ed funding. I'll have a charter school analysis that'll show you what our charter school costs have been and what it's projected to be going forward. We'll have an idea what PSER's costs are. And next month, we're going to have representatives come from the community college, IU, and the VOTEC to make their presentations for their budget. And that'll be next month. So this just shows you the next steps. I'm not going to go through and read it. As you'll see in March, there'll be more committee meetings. We'll have a community forums in April. By May, we'll have the preliminary budget come forward for approval and final approval in June. Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item this evening is an action item to join a lawsuit against social media companies. Mr. Cuff, you were going to give us some explanation.
Yes. Thanks for calling me back up. I forgot my phone.
What?
So this is a lawsuit by the law firm of Levine, well, with the lawyer Levine. So there is a lawsuit against a lot of these social media companies. He's already done this one time already. There's no cost to the district. So what happens, every district that is signed up, and it basically goes against how it's not helping children. How social media, how Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, things like that are not helping not helping students learn, not helping students, period. So whatever comes, it's a class action lawsuit. So whatever comes back from there, the district will get a prorated portion of that. So there's no liability to the district to make this move.
Is there any discussion?
So you saying
Thank you.
anything bad that comes from social media, the district will get paid back on that
So
in reference to our students?
not necessarily to our students, it's just in global period, but we'll be a part of the lawsuit.
So there's a class action lawsuit?
Yes.
Okay.
Who's leading the class?
The firm, they didn't bring it up, I apologize. France Law Group, Dylan McCandles, it's in Levin Legal Group. So we've talked to Levin Legal Group.
So what does that lawsuit, maybe I missed something, but what does that lawsuit look like? Like, maybe Solicitor can tell us.
It is the equivalent of a class action lawsuit against major social media platforms. And on behalf of the students who go to this school district, we are seeking claims on the quote unquote negative mental health impact on students who are exposed to those social media platforms. The Levin Legal Group, who does provide services for the school district, has partnered with a California law firm that has the wherewithal to bring such a suit and is looking for, candidly, a monetary settlement that we could use in terms of our district on behalf of the students.
So the reason why I'm asking this question, social media could be a blessing and a curse. And so I'm just want to know a little bit more. I'm not saying that I'm against it because there's some things that has gone out here lately that would, that cause us some issues. But I also don't want to put, you got to be careful because you don't want to put yourself, we sue, we become a part of a suit and we make money off of it, $2, right? But at the same time, it puts our students in a situation where they can't communicate or certain things can't be said. I don't know what that lawsuit looks like.
Okay,
So
I don't believe the resolution of the lawsuit is seeking the cessation of those platforms. It deals with the content of what goes on social media and the negative impact on students. That's the extent to which I know. As you know, I'm not the attorney who's bringing this matter.
So my question would be, so what is considered negative, you know? Because
There have been a number of recent studies showing the deleterious impact of social media platforms on students' mental health and students' academic performance. And I presume they're going to be using that data and those experts to prove that.
So this is Allentown in California?
Pardon me?
It's a class action, but it started in California.
Pardon me? There's other Pennsylvania school districts. This is a national collective group going under the circumstances, from what I understand. It's a multi-state action. And as you know, social media is not confined to one state.
That's exactly what I'm getting at. But I'm just saying that I would want to have, just me, more knowledge, you know, because I'm being told, and I didn't see it for myself to see what that actually entails. And I wouldn't want to be following a group that it doesn't have our students' best interests at heart. Because my thing is, if we agree to this without having any knowledge, right? Soon as something happens and we want to push the issue, they'll say, hey, look, Allentown, you were in this lawsuit, you sued, you asked for this. And I'm not sure that I know what I'm asking for. So, again, I'm only one. But that's I don't know what that means. And just to be clear, I am definitely in favor for any type of positive supports for people with mental health. So I'm not saying that I'm not in support of making sure we're protecting our students. I'm saying that I'm making sure that we're not joining something that may very well be selling our students out for $2. Being facetious, I guess, in a funny way, but it's not funny. You follow me?
Yes.
The answer is, would it be helpful if you get something from the Levin Legal Group?
Absolutely.
We have
To
it.
explain that. Pardon me?
Do we need additional information? Because we gave the board some information already. Do we need more information?
Or do we
Well,
need more time?
So, nope, we don't need more time. What we could do, because this is our committee of the whole, we have a whole nother meeting coming up in 2 weeks. And so that gives me, because obviously I may very well be the only person that has questions, to be able to look at it and ask my questions and be able to vote.
We'll reach out and get that further information for you.
Yeah, we'll get.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Could I have a motion to move this one forward, provided we get some of that information?
So move.
Second. Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Then this item does move forward. Okay. Item 3 is to request to approval for the Phase 3 Guaranteed Energy Savings Agreement. I believe Mr. Smith is going to comment.
Good evening. Happy New Year to all. Tonight, we have a large agenda. Tonight, we are requesting from the Board of Directors the approval of the Phase 3 Guaranteed Energy Savings Agreement, and this is an amendment with McClure Company, 4101 North 6th Street, Harrisburg, PA, 17110. This is to address mechanical upgrades and energy improvements necessary to ensure a safe, efficient, and healthy school environment for over 20,000 students and staff. The project complies and meets all State Act 163, 2016 and federal ESSER's procurement guidelines. Phase 3 is scheduled for summer 2024 implementation and includes HVAC upgrades at Harrison Morton Middle School. The renovation project will respond to COVID-19 pandemic and will address the many dimensions of resource equity and longstanding gaps in educational opportunities. In addition, Allentown School District strives to improve the learning environment by reducing the risk of virus transmission and focusing on the health and well-being of students and staff. The additional Phase 3 cost is $2 million and will be funded by the ESSER's 3 funds. This action request approval is subject to acceptable review by the district solicitor, and I recommend this item be considered as an action item at the regular board meeting on January 25th, 2024.
Is there any discussion?
Yes. So I'm looking at that. It's a 2 million. Is that the last phase of what did we originally get for the ESSERS fund?
Excuse me, Ms. Phoebe.
How much did we originally receive from the funds, from the federal government?
In total?
Yes.
I believe it was over $100 million.
Okay. So this is the last phase of it?
This will be what facilities will allocate of their allotment of ESSERS funding.
Because how long do we have the ESSERS funding until?
We have to,
So
we have to
use it.
procure, install, and pay for by the end of September 2024.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else? May I have a motion to move this forward?
I'll make that motion.
All right, and we have a second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Then that motion does move forward. I'm going to make a recommendation that we take items 4 through 9 as one group because they all involve a relationship with co-stars. And I would also ask that, Mr. Smith, that you remind people what the co-stars agreement is.
Sure, I can certainly do that. Make sure I have that with me. So PA CoStars is a procurement tool from the Pennsylvania Department of General Services in the state of Pennsylvania, where contracts are issued based on guidelines and submissions to our government. So it complies with all the procurement laws of Pennsylvania. And we use it quite often. It saves the district a lot of money. These are pre-approved contracts by the state of Pennsylvania.
Do you have a brief comment on any of those items? The co-stars possibilities?
So let me go through. There's a lot of items here. We'll be using the co-stars for the administration HVAC replacements. It'll be a co-stars contract to replace the remaining touchless bottle fillers. We had replaced approximately 165 already traditional water fountains with touchless bottle fillers, and this will complete the remaining traditional water fountain replacements within our schools. And then we have another co-stars contract to replace the HVAC system at Trexler Middle School's main office complex. We will be using a PA CoStar state contract with Veritiv for an autonomous robotic floor scrubber for William Allen High School. That is in addition to the one that we've already have and we are using at Deerfield High School. And we have another PA CoStar skate contract with Miller Sports, and that will be to refinish and repaint the gymnasium floor at Allen High School. And finally, finally, we have the PA CoStars contract, which will be replacing and I'd like to get into a little bit more detail on this one, if you don't mind. This contract pertains to the removal and replacement of a very vintage and end-of-life cycle hot water heating boilers at the William Allen Phys Ed complex. These boilers not only heat the building, but they heat the domestic hot water, they heat the pool, both pools, and they heat the laundry as well. The total amount of this contract is $1,978,565. And again, this is the primary objective of this project is to ensure the provision of a safe and functional building for our students and staff.
Question there.
Sure.
Can we use extra fund for that, or is that not in the realm of it?
Well, it's not, this project, it doesn't meet all the eligibility requirements. And that is based on, this has to be engineered, this would have to be procured. And there's equipment scheduling. This project probably won't be done. It'll be done in time for the heating season, but it will pass the September deadline to pay for it. So ESSERS funds wouldn't be allowed for this.
And for those of you who are new, we got the ESSER fund started coming to us during COVID. So that's why I'm asking all these questions, because you were not here.
Okay, that's fine.
Is there any other question or comment about any of those items?
I'm gonna ask again because we got money going back from Essence.
There'll be no money going back.
Yeah.
right?
Oh, okay. I just wanted to be clear because I was getting ready to try to figure it out because we're gonna have to
I'm on
create
the
some
building
urgency.
chair, and we are spending every penny.
Okay, so I'm
All of
okay. I thought, thank you.
As well on the academic side,
Cause
because
we,
we still have
I
to
was
correct.
gonna have a conversation with these people for the
Oh,
pool,
Nope.
in the heater, in the hot water. Thank you.
Is there any other comment or question?
So I have one more agenda item.
Uh,
That's not,
I was, that way, I just packaged the co-stars
pack-
items and then I will,
thank you.
I will continue on. If there is no comment or question, may I have a motion to move items 4 through 9 to the January 25th meeting?
I make that motion.
Is there, and we have a second? Hey, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Now, item 10 is the polling place.
Yes, tonight I'm requesting board approval of the proposed polling place lease agreement amendment with Lehigh County. This amendment is necessary to reflect an increase in the lease payment to Allentown School District. The lease fee will increase to $200 per voting district, and this district currently houses 17 voting districts. So that comes to a total of $3,400 from the previous lease fee of $75 per voting district, which was only $1,275. So the total increase will be $2,125. And the proposed increase, the county tells us, is in an effort to ensure our continued civil support.
Any comment or question? May I have a motion?
So move.
I'll second.
And we have a maker and a seconder. All in favor? Opposed? Then the item moves forward. I would like, with your permission, to take items 11 and 12 because they both involve Kelly Education together. Mr. Sang, you have some background for us?
Good evening again, board.
Good evening again.
And then just as a point of clarification, it is an arm of Kelly Education, but it is a different arm as far as pediatric therapeutic services, which it does say on the memo as far as the reason. I'll start with the approval of the pediatric therapeutic services staffing agreement. We're requesting the board's approval for the agreement with Kelly Education for staffing assistance in specialized hard-to-fill employment roles. This proposal by Pediatric Therapeutic Services to provide individuals for hard-to-fill positions in our schools while we continue to recruit highly qualified individuals. This will allow students to receive services from healthcare staff, along with providing classroom support to students from speech language therapists, psychologists, social workers, and nurses. And the district can hire these individuals if they desire employment with ASD after a certain time without a charge for hiring. The hourly wages are there, and behind me, we do have members of those teams with us tonight to support us.
So my question is, with the school psychologists and the social workers, how many more are we hiring? Because we know we need them.
So right now, we do have 5 school psychologist vacancies.
That's not enough.
That we have 5 vacancies. That's why we're looking for additional support there. It's a really hard position to fill. As far as social work positions, we currently have 6. We have interviewees in the pipeline that have round 2 next week. But this is providing us the opportunity should we need some additional services in an interim basis.
So my question is why we don't have more in our middle schools and our high schools.
We're working on that through our budget process as far as evaluating what we have for the 2023-2024 school year and then preparing for the 24-25 school year.
Okay. Is there, because I'm asking, even with our elementary schools, I think there should be one in each elementary school.
I know we
social
have identified it as a need. I know it's a priority of Dr. Burke's as far as
Thank you.
To my ears.
Any other comment or question on that item? And then how about the short-term paraprofessional staffing?
That's correct. So this is a proposal to provide paraprofessionals for hard-to-fill positions in our schools. This will allow our ability to provide direct services to students by paraprofessionals in the areas of special education, ESOL, regular education, when district staff's not available. The district can hire these individuals as ASD employees after 90 days without a charge for hiring. So it is graded as for the length of time they work with us. Kelly will also be providing additional training to these individuals to assist with the effective implementation of their roles.
Is there a comment or question? Seeing none, may I have a motion for items 11 and 12 that have just been talked about?
So move. I second.
Okay, we have a maker and a seconder. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Then those items move forward. Do we have any comment cards from the public? No. Is there any old business to come before this committee? Any new business? Seeing none, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I make that motion.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Good meeting.
Lisa, if you want some candy.
Yeah, I got a bag full of that.
Couldn't quite push it down toward you.
Huh?
Oh, my God.
You know, I'm telling you.
Supposed to be leaving in 27.
That's right.
My niece's having a birthday party. On 26. That's almost.